The ancient records would remember this day as one where suffering forged a vow instead of breaking a man. Chu Feng survived the Dark Hall's brutality, learned the shocking secret of Xian Miaomiao's 9 lives, and uncovered golden spirit water that might finally loosen Eggy's seal. Now, with the ancient era's elves standing beside him and the Cyanwood Mountain rising in prestige, new fortunes are gathering around those who once shared his darkest trials. The old tea house had barely finished pouring its first cups when a familiar bunch of troublemakers came wandering through the door again. Poured generously, daoists, because after the bloodshed, surprises, and one rather serious argument over who gets to be the big sister, there is clearly much to discuss before tonight's story gets away from us. The battlefield had fallen into a dreadful silence, amid shattered stone and the lingering pressure of the blood-devouring killing formation. The world devastator immortal descended from the sky and approached Chu Feng with the calm arrogance of a victor examining defeated prey.
What exactly are you wearing? Armor made from blood-devouring insects, so that was how all of you managed to force your way into the blood-devouring killing formation. Were you the one who killed the yin-yang immortal? No. I doubt it. Xian Miaomiao must have done it. Truthfully, Xian Miaomiao was far stronger than you. Even though you possess power resembling Lord Hall Master, you cannot even surpass her. So how could you possibly compare with Lord Hall Master?
Chu Feng said nothing. He simply stared at the world devastator immortal. There was no pleading in those eyes, no surrender, and not even the slightest attempt to hide his hatred. His gaze was so cold and fierce that even the world devastator immortal began to feel uncomfortable beneath it. That stare was the only weapon Chu Feng still possessed. His cultivation could be suppressed, and his body could be broken. But as long as his will remained intact, this defeat had not yet become true submission.
What are you staring at? You are not permitted to look at me like that.
The world devastator immortal brought his foot down upon Chu Feng's left arm. A crushing force followed, inflicting another severe injury upon him. Yet Chu Feng still refused to avert his eyes. He stared straight at the man before him, engraving that face into his memory. If he survived this day, then everything that had happened here would become a debt, and Chu Feng intended to collect it.
Still looking, then suffer the consequences.
Again and again, the world devastator immortal trampled Chu Feng beneath his feet. The attacks left Chu Feng's body grievously injured, his bones shattered, and his strength nearly extinguished. But through all of it, his eyes never moved. That refusal mattered. The world devastator immortal could dominate the present because of the overwhelming difference in cultivation. But he could not force Chu Feng to acknowledge him as superior in spirit. For someone as proud as Chu Feng, that distinction was everything.
Oh, champion, worthless trash. This miserable state is what you truly are.
With a cold snort, the world devastator immortal rose into the air and swiftly disappeared into the distance, leaving Chu Feng alone among the ruins. Chu Feng lay motionless. His entire body had suffered devastating injuries, and every attempt to move brought unbearable pain. Yet the agony of his flesh was still nothing compared with what pressed upon his heart. He had watched so many people fall before his eyes. He had possessed strength, courage, treasures, and techniques. Yet at the moment that mattered most, none of them had been enough to change what happened. For Chu Feng, this was the cruelest wound of all. Physical injuries could be healed through spirit techniques and the vermilion bird resurrection technique. But helplessness was different. It attacked the pride of a cultivator and forced him to confront the distance between the strength he possessed and the strength he still needed. Then, from within Chu Feng's world spirit space, her Lady Queen's stern voice rang out.
Chu Feng, if you are a man, then stand back up. Do not allow their scheme to succeed. Do not let them destroy you. It is true that you cannot match them right now, but that is only because you have not yet matured. They have cultivated for thousands, perhaps even tens of thousands of years. And you have cultivated for only a little more than a decade. If people who have cultivated for that long still could not suppress you now, then they would truly have lived those years in humiliation. And by that same reasoning, if you are given as much time as they had, I refuse to believe they will still be capable of suppressing you.
Her tone was severe, but beneath every word was unmistakable encouragement. Eggy was not allowing Chu Feng to drown in grief. She was forcing him to look beyond this single defeat and remember the terrifying potential hidden inside his future. And her reasoning struck directly at the truth of cultivation. Chu Feng was being compared with monsters who had accumulated power across millennia. The fact that such figures already considered him dangerous was not proof of his weakness. It was evidence of how terrifying his growth had become.
Eggy, rest assured, I may be knocked to the ground, but I will stand again. The dignity they stole from me today, I will take it back sooner or later. In every hardship they have forced upon me, I will make them repay many times over.
Chu Feng released his spirit power. At the same moment, the vermilion bird resurrection technique spread across his entire body like a reborn flame. Spirit power and the vermilion bird resurrection technique worked together. His severe injuries rapidly recovered. Shattered bones restored themselves, and strength returned to his limbs with astonishing speed. This was one of Chu Feng's greatest advantages. Defeating him in a single confrontation was one thing. Truly preventing him from rising again was another. His recovery methods transformed survival itself into a weapon. Chu Feng slowly stood and looked across the surrounding ruins. Every direction reminded him of what had been lost. Each glance made the pain in his heart heavier, but he refused to turn away. He wanted to remember it, not as despair, but as a scar upon his spirit. He would carve this humiliation into his memory until the day he possessed enough strength to answer it.
Sooner or later, I will make them understand that humiliating me today without killing me was the greatest mistake they ever made.
Killing intent burned within Chu Feng's eyes. He had survived, and that meant the account between them remained open. For enemies like the World Devastator Immortal, this was the hidden danger of leaving Chu Feng alive. A defeated genius could become insignificant, or he could transform humiliation into the fuel for an even more terrifying rise, and Chu Feng had never been the sort to forget a debt. Suddenly a violent sound came from the distance. Crushed rocks shifted, and from beneath the debris, a brilliant red light shot into the sky. It was Lil Red.
Great sir! Exclamation, great sir.
Lil Red rushed directly toward Chu Feng, its tiny eyes filled with tears.
Lil Red, how did you survive?
Chu Feng was stunned. Lil Red had clearly been with Xian Miaomiao. If Xian Miaomiao had truly perished, then by all logic Lil Red should not have appeared here alive. Then a familiar voice came from nearby.
Of course Lil Red survived.
Chu Feng froze. He knew that voice. It belonged to Xian Miaomiao. He turned immediately. Not far away, Xian Miaomiao was walking toward him. Her clothing had changed, but her appearance and presence were unmistakable. She was alive.
Miaomiao! Exclamation, you're alive! How is this possible?
Chu Feng hurried toward her, excitement and disbelief colliding within him. Moments earlier, he had been drowning beneath the weight of loss. Now someone he had believed gone forever was standing directly before him.
Surprise, aren't you? I am not so easy to kill. I'll tell you a secret. I possess 9 lives.
9 lives.
Chu Feng could not immediately understand what she meant.
That's right. It comes from this. Look for yourself if you don't believe me.
Xian Miaomiao removed the necklace from around her neck and opened its pendant. Inside rested a mysterious pearl. The instant Chu Feng saw it, astonishment flashed across his eyes. He did not need anyone to explain its value. The aura alone revealed that this was no ordinary treasure.
Chu Feng exclamation, that girl actually possesses something like this thighs, is unquestionably the most extraordinary treasure this queen has seen so far.
Even Eggy, whose standards were rarely ordinary, was shocked. That reaction alone revealed how exceptional the pearl was. It was not merely a defensive treasure. It interfered with death itself.
Amazing, isn't it? Me lives are not actually contained within my body. They are stored inside this pearl. So even if my body and soul are destroyed, I will not truly die. This pearl can revive me. And that is not all. When I encounter a life and death crisis, it can teleport me somewhere else at the critical moment. To everyone watching, it appears as though the enemy's attack completely destroyed me. In reality, I escaped together with my treasures. That is why Lil Red survived as well.
Xian Miaomiao spoke with a bright smile, but Chu Feng felt no relief when he looked at it. Instead, his heart tightened. She had just endured the loss of members of her clan and people close to her. The sorrow she carried was no lighter than Chu Feng's. Perhaps it was even heavier. Yet she was still smiling. Chu Feng understood why. Miaomiao was forcing herself to remain cheerful because she did not want her grief to become another burden upon him. That smile, therefore, carried more weight than tears. It was not proof that Xian Miaomiao felt nothing. It was proof that she was deliberately hiding how much she felt for the sake of the companion standing before her.
But you still lost one of those lives, didn't you?
Chu Feng stared carefully at the pearl. Only 7 rays of light remained within it. If Xian Miaomiao had originally possessed 9 lives, then she had already consumed 2.
It's fine. Even after losing 1, I can still die 7 more times. Just having that many remaining is already something almost nobody else can compare with.
She deliberately spoke with a trace of pride, as though the matter were nothing worth worrying about. Then Lil Red suddenly tilted toward her in surprise.
Yeah, exclamation beauty. Does that mean you used one of your lives to save Great Sir earlier?
Lil Red, shut up.
Chu Feng's expression immediately changed.
Lil Red, what did you just say?
The pieces suddenly began connecting in his mind. 7 lights remained. Miaomiao had already lost 2 lives. One had clearly allowed her to survive the recent attack, but what had happened to the other? Lil Red ignored Xian Miaomiao's attempt to silence it.
Great Sir, when you were unconscious and badly injured, this beauty used that pearl to save you. I saw it myself. A strand of light left the pearl and entered your body, and that was how your injuries recovered. If those strands of light are her lives, then she used one of her own lives to save you.
Chu Feng went still.
Miaomiao, you actually...
For a moment, words failed him. The truth was far heavier than he had expected. Xian Miaomiao had not merely escaped death through the mysterious pearl. Before this disaster, she had already sacrificed one of the precious lives stored within it to save Chu Feng from the backlash of the evil god's sword. That revelation changed the meaning of those 7 remaining lights completely. Each one was not merely a miraculous safeguard. It was a finite life. And Xian Miaomiao had willingly spent one of those irreplaceable chances so that Chu Feng could survive. For Chu Feng, who had just sworn never again to remain powerless while those around him suffered, learning that Miaomiao had already paid such a price for him could only deepen that vow. This was no longer merely humiliation to avenge. It was a debt of life, sacrifice, and responsibility that he would never be able to forget. Xian Miaomiao brushed aside the danger as though the loss of another life were merely a passing inconvenience.
Ay, this princess has plenty of lives. You really don't need to worry so much.
But Chu Feng could not treat what had happened so lightly. A heavy, indescribable feeling remained lodged within his heart. 9 lives or not, the truth was undeniable. Had Xian Miaomiao possessed only 1 life, she would already be gone. She had already lost 2 lives. The first time, she had sacrificed herself for Chu Feng. The second time, she had been killed because she had become entangled in his danger. Those 2 losses carried a weight that no number of remaining lives could erase. To Chu Feng, this was no longer a simple debt of gratitude. It was a responsibility carved into his conscience. What troubled him even more was how little time they had actually known one another. Xian Miaomiao had no obligation to go so far for him, yet she had repeatedly placed herself in danger without demanding anything in return. Precisely because there was no obvious reason behind her sacrifices, they struck Chu Feng even harder. Some favors could be repaid with treasures, others could only be remembered for a lifetime.
Miaomiao, from today onward, my life is yours.
Xian Miaomiao immediately curled her lips, refusing to accept such solemn words.
What nonsense are you saying? This princess has no interest in your life. I don't want it.
Yet almost immediately her expression shifted. There was something else hidden within the blood-devouring killing formation, something Chu Feng had not yet seen.
Chu Feng, there's something you should know. This blood-devouring killing formation wasn't only constructed to seal the ancient era's ferocious beasts. There's a treasure hidden here as well.
A treasure.
That single word immediately caught his attention.
It's real, but this treasure is rather unusual. It's useless to ordinary people, yet I have a feeling it might be useful to you. Just follow me.
With that, Xian Miaomiao entered the passage from which Lil Red had previously emerged. Chu Feng followed close behind. The tunnel Lil Red had excavated plunged far beneath the earth. The farther they descended, the more astonishing its depth became, until even Chu Feng found it difficult to judge how far below the surface they had traveled. Then they finally reached the bottom. The instant Chu Feng saw what lay before him, his expression changed completely. Joy surged across his face. Deep underground rested a vast pool of radiant golden liquid. Its surface gleamed like ancient gold beneath unseen light, and there was so much of it that the hidden reservoir could almost be called a small lake. Yet it was not molten metal. It was a mysterious form of water, saturated with extraordinary power, a treasure whose true value could only be understood by a world spiritist.
Chu Feng, do you know what that is? May not be a world spiritist, but even I can tell this water is extraordinary. I think the spirit formation seal here was maintained using it.
You're right. This water really was sustaining the spirit formation seal. Fortunately, it was hidden this far underground. Otherwise, the people from the Dark Hall might already have taken it.
As a world spiritist, Chu Feng could immediately perceive the truth. This golden water had formed one of the essential foundations of the blood-devouring killing formation. That meant its value was not measured merely by rarity. It contained the accumulated power required to support an enormous ancient formation. To the right person, such energy could become the key to accomplishing something previously impossible.
Miaomiao, you've helped me tremendously this time.
It was only because my life pearl teleported me here. Otherwise, I wouldn't have found it either. But is this water really that useful?
Useful, it's extremely useful.
His excitement was not without reason. Even after everything painful that had happened, the sight of this hidden lake had given Chu Feng something he had not expected to find here. A solution. Chu Feng already possessed a method capable of weakening the seal his mother had placed upon her Lady Queen. What he lacked was power. His own strength was insufficient, and he had never possessed a treasure capable of supplying the immense energy required. For that reason, freeing Eggy from even a portion of the seal had always seemed like a distant matter, something buried somewhere in an uncertain future. But now an entire lake of unknown golden water stood before him. The problem had never been the method. It had been the energy needed to make that method work. And the overwhelming world spirit power contained within this golden water had suddenly filled that missing piece. Even if this energy could not completely undo the seal left by Chu Feng's mother, it might still be enough to loosen part of it and restore a portion of Eggy's sealed cultivation. For Chu Feng, that possibility alone was enormous. Eggy had accompanied him through countless dangers while much of her true strength remained locked away. If even part of that cultivation returned, the balance of power surrounding Chu Feng could change dramatically. Xian Miaomiao watched his excitement with growing curiosity. She had originally brought him here mainly to raise his spirits. In her eyes, the golden water seemed useful chiefly for spirit formations, valuable but hardly something that should make Chu Feng this ecstatic.
Just what can this water do?
Chu Feng's answer was deliberately mysterious.
It can help me release a little demon.
A little demon.
Confusion immediately appeared on Xian Miaomiao's face, quickly followed by anticipation. Inside Chu Feng's world spirit space, Eggy was equally puzzled. Even she had not yet understood what he intended.
To be precise, an Asura.
As those words fell, Chu Feng opened his world spirit gate. Lil Red and Xian Miaomiao immediately fixed their gazes upon the gate. A moment later, her Lady Queen emerged from within and arrived beside Chu Feng. Her appearance carried the unmistakable presence of an Asura world spirit, and her extraordinary beauty and proud bearing instantly drew both of their attention.
Wow! Exclamation, beauty, exclamation. She's really beautiful.
Lil Red's reaction was enthusiastic, but hardly incomprehensible. Even Xian Miaomiao stared for a moment in surprise, clearly impressed by Eggy's appearance and aura.
Chu Feng, is she your world spirit, the legendary Asura world spirit?
Amen. She is her Lady Queen.
Eggy immediately turned her attention toward Xian Miaomiao. Rather than displaying her usual sharpness toward strangers, her Lady Queen spoke with unexpected friendliness.
Miaomiao, if you let me call you little sister, Miaomiao, then this queen will permit you to call me big sister Eggy.
Before Xian Miaomiao could even answer, Lil Red seized the opportunity.
Got it, big sister Eggy.
No, you're not allowed to call me Eggy.
Then what should I call you? Beauty?
You may only address me as Milady Queen.
Got it, Milady Queen.
Eggy nodded with satisfaction, then turned back toward Xian Miaomiao.
Little sister Miaomiao, come on, call me big sister Eggy.
Fine, little sister Eggy.
Wrong, big sister, not little sister.
But you clearly seem younger than me. Shouldn't you be the little sister?
What Thigh's queen is obviously much older than you.
I don't believe you. Your youthful appearance gives you away.
That doesn't matter. I'm more mature than you.
How are you more mature? I am obviously the more mature one.
Watching the two of them compete over who deserved to be called the elder sister, Chu Feng felt utterly helpless. Yet beneath the childish argument was something Chu Feng immediately noticed. Eggy was getting along remarkably well with Xian Miaomiao. That was unusual. Eggy's proud personality rarely allowed outsiders to approach her so naturally. The fact that she was willing to joke and quarrel with Miaomiao suggested that she had genuinely taken a liking to the princess. After everything Xian Miaomiao had already done for Chu Feng, even Eggy's unusually warm response felt meaningful. Without ceremony or formal alliance, a new bond was quietly beginning to form. Unfortunately, neither Eggy nor Xian Miaomiao had any intention of yielding. Their argument over who would be the big sister continued for so long that Chu Feng finally had no choice but to intervene.
Milady Queen, Princess Miaomiao, that's enough. Stop arguing for a moment. We have something serious to discuss.
At those words, Eggy's playful expression immediately changed. The mysterious golden lake returned to the center of her attention, and she hurried toward Chu Feng. When Chu Feng had first mentioned releasing a little demon, Eggy had not understood him. But the moment he clarified that he meant an Asura, his purpose had become clear.
Chu Feng, are you saying that golden water can help undo my seal?
The question immediately caught Xian Miaomiao's attention.
Undo her seal. What happened to her?
Lil Red immediately joined in, curiosity practically overflowing.
That's right, exclamation tell us.
And just like that, the hidden treasure beneath the blood-devouring killing formation became something far more important than a forgotten reservoir of formation energy. If Chu Feng's judgment was correct, the Golden Lake might become the first real step toward restoring the terrifying power sealed within her Lady Queen. Within the depths of the cave, Chu Feng's expression grew solemn. The opportunity before him was not merely another treasure to seize. It might become a weapon capable of changing the balance between life and death.
Milady Queen is extraordinarily powerful. Her true cultivation has merely been sealed away. This golden water might be able to help me loosen that seal.
Xian Miaomiao immediately became curious. Until now, she had known Eggy as Chu Feng's proud and mysterious world spirit, but she had never truly understood how formidable Eggy might become once her shackles were removed.
Then just how powerful is little sis Eggy? Could she be as strong as me?
Even I don't know her exact cultivation, but I have a feeling she may be stronger than you.
Chu Feng truly could not determine Eggy's original realm, yet one conclusion had long since taken root in his heart. Her Lady Queen was undoubtedly a martial emperor, and her strength should surpass even the terrifying Asura evil spirit he had once released. That uncertainty was precisely what made Eggy so important. Chu Feng did not know the upper limit of her power, only that the portion he had already witnessed was enough to make ordinary experts seem insignificant. And Chu Feng desperately needed strength. The Dark Hall's Hallmaster had already fixed his attention upon him. Though that terrifying existence had not killed him yet, Chu Feng understood the meaning behind that restraint. He had already been acknowledged as a potential threat. Sooner or later, the Dark Hall's Hallmaster would move against him, against an enemy standing at such an overwhelming height. Personal talent alone was not enough. Chu Feng needed every possible trump card, and restoring even a fraction of Eggy's cultivation could become the difference between being hunted and possessing the power to fight back.
Yeah. I was originally planning to take care of little sis Eggy. Don't tell me I'm going to end up being protected by my little sister instead.
Miaomiao looked disappointed for only a moment. Then her lively nature returned, and she turned toward Eggy with a grin.
But that's fine. You're still the little sister. If you happen to protect your big sister once in a while, that's only natural.
A mischievous smile appeared on Eggy's face. The pride belonging to her Lady Queen immediately surfaced.
Very well. Once this queen regains her cultivation, I shall properly fulfill my duties as the big sister, and make sure you receive plenty of discipline.
Miaomiao froze. One glance at Eggy's smile was enough for her to sense that the so-called discipline might not be quite as pleasant as she had imagined.
Chu Feng, control your Eggy. She's already planning to bully me.
Hahaha! Exclamation. Chu Feng is merely this queen's servant. Do you truly think he has the authority to control me?
Eggy planted her hands proudly at her waist and laughed without restraint. Her attitude was imperious, yet the scene was more playful than threatening.
Chu Feng, tell me she's lying.
Unfortunately, Miaomiao, her Lady Queen is telling the truth.
No.
But Miaomiao's despair lasted barely a heartbeat. Her eyes suddenly shifted, and the defeated expression vanished. A new idea had clearly entered her mind.
Big sis Eggy, please take good care of me from now on. We can bully Chu Feng together. As long as big sis doesn't bully me, everything will be perfect.
Chu Feng could only stare at her. She had surrendered without hesitation, and somehow, despite being completely uninvolved in the dispute, he had become the sacrifice offered to seal their alliance. Miaomiao's quick change of strategy revealed exactly why she was so difficult to deal with. When strength could not win, she immediately switched to diplomacy. The playful atmosphere soon faded. Eggy looked at Chu Feng again, and this time there was genuine uncertainty in her eyes. The seal suppressing her had existed for far too long. She understood its terrifying strength better than anyone.
Chu Feng, can you truly undo my seal?
I have about a 50% chance, but even if I succeed, I can only remove part of it. Completely breaking the seal left by my mother is beyond my current ability.
Those words exposed the true scale of the restriction. Chu Feng had already reached an extraordinary level in world spirit techniques, yet the seal his mother had placed on Eggy remained far beyond him. Even with the golden water, his goal was not liberation, but merely opening a crack in an impossibly powerful prison.
Then, when do you intend to try?
There's no reason to delay. We begin now.
Both Eggy and Miaomiao were caught off guard by his decisiveness.
Now.
The Dark Hall's people are already gone. If they were still nearby, they would have shown themselves by now. More importantly, this golden water cannot be taken away. Whenever we attempt this, it must be done here. The blood-devouring killing formation has also been destroyed. Once news spreads, experts from every direction will come searching this place for treasures. Leaving the golden water untouched would only invite others to discover it. So if we're going to use it, we use it immediately.
Chu Feng's judgment was ruthless, but correct. The greatest danger was no longer merely the Dark Hall. Once the ruins became known, greed itself would summon powerful cultivators here. A treasure that could not be moved was a treasure that could not be safely preserved.
Then, what do I need to do?
I must face you directly while loosening the seal, so you'll need to remain outside the world spirit space. After the formation is completed, you'll enter a half-unconscious state. You will still be aware of what happens. Through me, you'll be able to see and hear the outside world, but you won't be able to speak. Only after the formation finishes its work will you regain your freedom. And until the formation is actually completed, I won't know whether the seal can truly be loosened.
How long will that take?
I don't know.
Eggy did not hesitate any further.
It doesn't matter. Since we've decided, begin.
Chu Feng immediately moved. He had Eggy sit upon the golden water, then took the mysterious liquid itself as the core of his formation. Layers of world spirit power spread outward as he began constructing an array unlike anything he had attempted before. The golden water was the heart of the formation, but it was far from the only price. Chu Feng opened his stores and brought out his most valuable treasures and formation materials without hesitation. For Chu Feng, this was no ordinary experiment. Every precious material he sacrificed represented accumulated wealth and future possibilities, yet he spent them without regret. Eggy had stood beside him through countless dangers. If there was even a chance to return part of her strength, he would pay the cost. One day became several became weeks. The formation grew more intricate with every passing stage, while Chu Feng continued pouring his world spirit power into its countless connections. More than an entire month passed. Never before had Chu Feng spent so long constructing a single spirit formation. This was the longest formation process of his life. Throughout that entire month, Xian Miaomiao and Lil Red guarded the cave. Neither disturbed him. Not a word was spoken unnecessarily. They understood that the slightest interruption at the wrong moment could ruin everything Chu Feng had built. Finally, Chu Feng straightened his exhausted body and released a long breath. Only then did Miaomiao rush toward him.
Succeeded.
Her eyes immediately moved toward Eggy. Her lady queen remained seated cross-legged in midair, but now brilliant golden radiance poured from her entire figure, making her resemble a statue forged from living gold. The entire pool of golden water was gone. Not a single drop remained. Chu Feng had condensed all of it onto Eggy and guided its power into the formation. The golden substance did not merely cover her. It was slowly merging into her body, continuously attacking the seal, suppressing her cultivation. Yet neither Chu Feng nor Miaomiao could tell how long that process would continue.
The spirit formation itself is complete, but whether it can actually loosen Eggy's seal, I still don't know.
Chu Feng reopened the world spirit gate and returned Eggy to his world spirit space, allowing the formation's power to continue its work within her. The critical step had been completed, but the result remained suspended between success and failure. In a sense, this was even more nerve-wracking than battle. Against an enemy, Chu Feng could react. Against the seal left by his own mother, he could only wait for the formation to reveal its answer. Miaomiao, however, immediately noticed another problem. Chu Feng's exhaustion was obvious. A month of maintaining such an immense formation had drained him to the edge.
Chu Feng, you've exhausted yourself. Here, eat these.
She opened her palm. 10 special medicinal pellets rested there. Chu Feng recognized their value at once. Every one of them could restore both martial power and spirit power. Chu Feng had indeed pushed himself close to his limit. Only because his spirit power was exceptionally powerful had he been able to sustain the formation for an entire month. Even so, nearly all of his world spirit power had been consumed. Natural recovery would take time, and Chu Feng possessed nothing comparable to the pills Miaomiao had offered him. Therefore, despite knowing how precious they were, he did not stand on ceremony. He swallowed all 10.
Miaomiao, thank you.
There's no need to be so polite with me.
Come, let's return to the Elf Kingdom.
Miaomiao shook her head.
There's no need.
Why?
A knowing expression appeared on Miaomiao's face.
They've already come to receive me.
She flew toward the cave entrance, and Chu Feng followed close behind. The instant Chu Feng emerged from the cave, the scene outside made his gaze sharpen. An entire army of the Elf Kingdom had already assembled in perfect order. These were no ordinary troops. They were elite warriors of the ancient era's elves. Among the formation stood numerous powerful experts, including 4 protectors and 2 grand elders. But even those figures were overshadowed by the person at their head. He wore green battle armor, while a red mantle fell from his shoulder. The aura radiating from him was vast and imposing, enough to make the assembled elites seem like attendants gathered around their sovereign. The one who had personally come to this place was none other than the ruler of the ancient era's elves, the Elf King. The scale of this reception spoke louder than words. 4 protectors, 2 grand elders, and the Elf King himself had appeared. Whatever had happened during Chu Feng and Miaomiao's disappearance, the Elf Kingdom clearly regarded it as a matter of the highest importance. And after everything hidden inside that cave, Chu Feng was about to step from one dangerous secret directly into another major confrontation. The Elf King approached Chu Feng directly.
Little friend Chu Feng, judging by your appearance, it seems you succeeded.
The truth behind the rescue soon became clear. The instant the blood-devouring killing formation was broken, the surviving ancient era's elves had already sent an urgent plea for reinforcements. The message raced toward the Elf Kingdom, while the battlefield was still drowning in the aftermath of slaughter. Upon receiving the plea, the Elf King did not entrust the matter to anyone else. He personally mobilized the ancient era's elves' army and rushed toward the scene with all possible speed. The report never mentioned the Dark Hall, yet an uneasy instinct told him that the shadow behind this disaster was likely connected to that mysterious organization. But even the speed of the ancient era's elves could not reverse what had already happened. They arrived too late to prevent the bloodshed. Fortunately, amid that cruel result, 2 lives that mattered greatly had endured. Chu Feng and Xian Miaomiao were still alive. After locating Xian Miaomiao, the army learned that Chu Feng was constructing a spirit formation to remove Eggy's seal. No one dared interrupt him. Instead, the ancient era's elves formed a silent guard around the area, protecting him until his work was complete. Their decision showed how highly Chu Feng was now regarded. At such a critical moment, even an army of the Elf Kingdom was willing to wait upon the success of his spirit formation rather than disturb him.
Little friend Chu Feng, I already know what occurred here. Do not carry the entire tragedy upon yourself. War has always been merciless. The responsibility for what happened here belongs to the Dark Hall, not to you.
Chu Feng understood the intention behind those words, yet a knot remained in his heart. He had already learned something deeply disturbing about the Dark Hall's Hall Master. The man possessed the same kind of inherited bloodline as himself. That meant the enemy might very well originate from Chu Feng's own clan, making the entire conflict feel far more personal than anyone else realized.
But, Elf King, the Dark Hall's Hall Master, yay.
Before Chu Feng could finish, the Elf King stopped him. He already understood what Chu Feng was trying to say.
Chu Feng, I know everything. Every person chooses his own path and carries his own thoughts. You are not responsible for another person's sins. However, what the Dark Hall has done this time is no longer a hidden provocation. It is a declaration of war against the ancient era's elves. I will not allow this matter to end here. Little friend Chu Feng, when that war begins, you will stand with us. Correct?
The atmosphere changed at once. Every powerful ancient era's elf present turned toward Chu Feng. Their gazes carried neither mockery nor casual curiosity. They were waiting for the answer of a man who had become important enough to influence the coming struggle.
The hatred between the Dark Hall and me cannot be reconciled. If the opportunity comes, I want to kill the Dark Hall's Hall Master with my own hands.
There was no hesitation in Chu Feng's answer. The fury behind his words had already settled into resolve. For Chu Feng, this was no longer merely a conflict between great powers. The Dark Hall had repeatedly threatened those around him, and the identity of its Hall Master had made the feud even more complicated. His answer effectively placed him on the same battlefield as the ancient era's elves.
Very well. What do you intend to do next?
I intend to return to the Cyanwood Mountain.
The Elf King nodded, then turned toward an exceptionally tall and thin Grand Elder standing behind him.
Lord Xianxia, I must trouble you to protect the Cyanwood Mountain.
As your majesty commands.
Chu Feng was immediately stunned. The order was far more significant than it sounded.
Your Majesty, this is...
Chu Feng, I have heard about your circumstances. Many of the people closest to you are gathered at the Cyanwood Mountain. That means the Cyanwood Mountain has inevitably become one of your weaknesses. Nangong Longjian and the Compass Immortal may be stationed there, but you already understand the true strength of the Dark Hall. Even the World Devastator Immortal is willing to serve them. Nangong Longjian alone cannot guarantee the Cyanwood Mountain's safety. If something happened there, you would never be able to ignore it. Lord Xianxia is a rank 8 Martial Emperor. Even the World Devastator Immortal would not dare behave recklessly before him. If Lord Xianxia remains at the Cyanwood Mountain, I can be much more at ease.
This was no ordinary gesture of friendship. The ancient era's elves were preparing to confront the Dark Hall. Yet the Elf King was willing to remove a rank 8 Martial Emperor from his own forces, simply to secure Chu Feng's greatest vulnerability. Strategically, that meant the Elf King valued Chu Feng's freedom to act more than the immediate combat strength. Lord Lianghua could contribute elsewhere.
I, Chu Feng, will never forget the assistance your Majesty has given me.
Chu Feng did not refuse. There was no sensible reason to reject such protection. The Elf King's judgment was correct. The Cyanwood Mountain contained too many people Chu Feng cared about, and therefore it was one of the few places an enemy could strike to shake him personally. And because the ancient era's elves themselves were entering a dangerous confrontation with the Dark Hall, the weight of the favor became even greater. Chu Feng understood that Lord Xianxia was not simply another guard. He was a precious top-level combat force, being reassigned at the worst possible time for the Elf Kingdom. Such a debt could not be measured with ordinary treasures.
Little friend Chu Feng, let us depart.
Lord Xianxia was a Grand Elder whose status was enough to make ordinary ancient era's elves tremble in respect. Yet before Chu Feng, he showed no arrogance and made no attempt to emphasize his seniority.
Lord Xianxia, I will have to trouble you.
Chu Feng and Lord Xianxia then departed together for Purple Flame's Black Mountain. Their ultimate destination was the Cyanwood Mountain, but Chu Feng first needed to bring Bai Ruochen, her mother Bai Suyan, and Jiang Wushang along with him. Only after Chu Feng had disappeared from sight did Xian Miaomiao finally stop forcing herself to remain composed. She rushed into her father's embrace, and the grief she had buried until that moment finally broke through.
Royal Father, Uncle is gone. The World Devastator Immortal killed him. I will avenge him. I will defeat the World Devastator Immortal myself.
Her tears fell freely. Chu Feng's earlier suspicion had been correct. Xian Miaomiao had been hiding her sorrow from him. She had forced herself to appear strong because she did not want Chu Feng carrying yet another emotional burden. The blonde elder who had fallen was not merely another expert of the ancient era's elves. He had watched over Xian Miaomiao since her childhood, and the bond between them had been built across years. Her grief had never been absent. She had simply locked it away until Chu Feng was gone. That restraint reveals another side of Xian Miaomiao. Despite her own pain, she had been thinking about Chu Feng's state of mind first. Her earlier smile was not proof that the tragedy had failed to wound her. It was proof that she had deliberately concealed the wound for someone else's sake.
It is all right. Your uncle will not have fallen for nothing. Not one ancient era's elf who died here will have been lost without consequence. I will make the Dark Hall answer for what they have done.
The Elf King held his daughter tightly. He shared her grief, but his burden was even broader. Many clansmen had fallen, and as the clan chief, every loss rested upon his heart. Beneath that sorrow, rage was gathering, deep, controlled, and dangerous. At this point, the conflict had crossed a decisive line. The Dark Hall had not merely provoked individual experts. It had forced the ruler of the ancient era's elves to treat the matter as blood debt. From here onward, retreat would become increasingly difficult for either side. After traveling for some time, Chu Feng and Lord Xianxia successfully reunited with Bai Ruochen, Bai Suyan, and Jiang Wushang. Together, the group crossed into the Cyanwood domain and finally reached the Cyanwood Mountain. The sight before them was almost unrecognizable compared with the past. Cultivators moved through the skies while countless others crowded the grounds below. The entire mountain was filled with activity, voices, arrivals, and the restless energy of a power rising toward unprecedented prosperity.
Wow, the Cyanwood Mountain has become incredibly lively.
Her surprise was understandable. The Cyanwood Mountain of today was many times more prosperous than the sect Chu Feng had first entered. Its influence was no longer confined to the Cyanwood domain. Cultivators from across the Holy Land of Martialism now dreamed of joining it. The reasons were powerful enough to shake the established order. Nanggong Longjian and the Compass Immortal had become guest elders of the Cyanwood Mountain, while the king monstrous dragon beasts had become its ally. In the eyes of the world, the Cyanwood Mountain had long surpassed its former identity as merely the leader of the 9 powers. Its prestige had climbed so high that many already viewed it as an enormous force standing above even the 4 great imperial clans. Naturally, a sect of such status could afford to be selective. Only exceptional talents could hope to become disciples. Yet instead of reducing interest, that difficulty drew even more people toward its gates.
Even without Nangong Longjian and the others, little friend Chu Feng's reputation alone would be enough to push the Cyanwood Mountain toward an age of extraordinary prosperity.
That is true. Chu Feng's current reputation has already surpassed even Nangong Longjian and the Compass Immortal. But imagine what would happen if the world learned that the ancient era's elves are also allied with Chu Feng, and that Lord Lianghua himself has been sent here to protect the Cyanwood Mountain. I wonder how stunned everyone would be.
Lord Lianghua immediately rejected that possibility.
My presence here must remain concealed. Others cannot be allowed to know that I am guarding the Cyanwood Mountain.
Why? If people knew that Lord Lianghua was stationed here too, wouldn't even more cultivators want to join the Cyanwood Mountain? Wouldn't that make the sect even stronger?
Chu Feng answered before Lord Lianghua needed to explain.
The Cyanwood Mountain's enemy is no longer another member of the 9 powers, nor the 4 great imperial clans, nor even the 3 palaces. Our true enemy is the Dark Hall. No matter how much the Cyanwood Mountain expands right now, it cannot surpass the Dark Hall. That is precisely why Lord Lianghua's presence must remain hidden. If the Dark Hall knew he was here and later decided to attack, they would prepare specifically for him. That would put both Lord Lianghua and the Cyanwood Mountain at a disadvantage.
Chu Feng's reasoning was simple but sharp. Lord Lianghua was most valuable, not as a public symbol of strength, but as an unknown variable. If the Dark Hall attacked while believing the Cyanwood Mountain's defenses ended with Nangong Longjian and the Compass Immortal, the sudden appearance of a rank 8 martial emperor could completely disrupt their calculations. Revealing him merely for prestige would sacrifice a genuine battlefield advantage.
So that is the reason.
Bai Ruochen understood as well. What had first appeared to be an opportunity to increase the Cyanwood Mountain's fame was actually a secret defense arrangement whose effectiveness depended entirely upon secrecy.
Little friend Chu Feng is completely correct.
Lord Lianghua nodded with clear satisfaction. Chu Feng had not needed an elder to spell out the danger. He had immediately understood the balance between visible prestige and concealed military strength. Bai Suyan watched Chu Feng quietly, a warm smile appearing on her face. To her, the young man standing before them had reached his present position through far more than coincidence or luck. Chu Feng's growth could now be seen not only in cultivation and combat strength, but in judgment. He could recognize political consequences, identify strategic weaknesses, and understand how hidden power could be more dangerous than openly displayed power. That maturity was one reason increasingly powerful figures were willing to treat him as an equal rather than merely as a talented junior. And that may be the most important change surrounding the Cyanwood Mountain. Its walls, elders, and alliances had all become stronger. But the greatest transformation was Chu Feng himself. The disciple who once entered this land seeking a place in the martial world had returned as someone capable of changing the balance of that very world. Yet, with the Dark Hall looming in the shadows, such prosperity was not merely glory. It was also a target. At that moment, the core disciples of Cyanwood Mountain were surging toward the main lecture hall like a river of young martial blood. Their robes moved through the mountain paths, their eyes bright with expectation. Some could barely restrain their excitement, some were so overwhelmed that tears gathered in their eyes. Because the one who would lecture today was no ordinary elder, no ordinary guest, and no ordinary expert. He was one of the grand figures of the Holy Land of martialism, the Compass Immortal. Among the rushing disciples, a robust youth turned back, his voice filled with urgency.
Lai King, Zhu, hurry! Exclamation, move faster! Exclamation, the Compass Immortal is about to begin his lecture.
Behind him, Zhao Shui did not seem nearly as frantic. Her steps remained steady, and her tone carried the casual boldness of a young disciple who had not yet understood how rare this moment truly was.
Mahu, why are you so anxious? The Compass Immortal is powerful. Yes, but I am not a world spiritist. Compared to his lecture, I am looking forward to Lord Nangong Longjian's lecture, even more.
As she spoke, Zhao Shui turned toward the young man beside her.
Lai King, what do you think? Am I right?
Li Qing was young, handsome, and already a rank 7 martial king. Among the disciples of Cyanwood Mountain, that cultivation was no small achievement. He carried himself with the calm confidence of someone who knew the weight of reputation.
Zhu, you are wrong. Even though we are not world spiritists, the Compass Immortal is still a legendary figure in the holy land of martialism. On an ordinary days, people like us would not even have the chance to see him. To listen to his lecture now is already an honor.
Zhao Shui paused, her curiosity rising like mist over a mountain peak.
That is true, but I still wonder, what price did Cyanwood Mountain have to pay to invite both the Compass Immortal and Lord Nangong Longjian here?
Those two grand characters are not people Cyanwood Mountain could invite simply by paying a price.
Then why would the Compass Immortal and Lord Nangong Longjian become guest elders of Cyanwood Mountain?
Li Qing looked at her, half amused, half helpless.
You are truly slow. Does that even need to be asked? It is naturally because of Chu Feng.
Chu Feng, it was Chu Feng. Does Chu Feng truly have such influence?
Of course. Did you think the battle at the Ximen Imperial clan was fake? Besides, did the three of us not travel so far to join Cyanwood Mountain because of Chu Feng?
Zhao Shui's face lit up with pure admiration, as if the name Chu Feng itself had become a banner raised above the younger generation.
Right. Chu Feng is my idol.
Li Qing smiled lightly, then swept his gaze across the rushing disciples around them.
Chu Feng is not only your idol, he is the idol of countless people in the younger generation.
Most of the faces moving beside them were unfamiliar. They were newcomers, disciples who had only recently joined Cyanwood Mountain. Yet not one of them looked ordinary. Their talent was sharp, their foundations were strong, and with their arrival, the overall quality of Cyanwood Mountain's core disciples had risen by an entire level. At least half of them had come for one reason alone: Chu Feng's reputation. This is the true force of fame in the martial world. A single battle can shake clans. A single name can reshape a sect. Chu Feng's strength no longer belongs only to himself. It has become a banner, a magnet, and a shield for Cyanwood Mountain. Suddenly, Mahu, who had been leading the way, ran back with excitement blazing across his face.
Lai King, Zhu, quickly! Exclamation, look over there! Exclamation, those are people from the Asura division.
Following the direction of Mahu's hand, Li Qing and Zhao Shui saw a group of disciples appear within the crowd. The moment those disciples appeared, the atmosphere shifted. Envy rose. Respect followed. Some gazes did not look upon them as fellow disciples at all, but as if a group of untouchable figures had descended onto the mountain path. This was the Asura division, the most popular division in Cyanwood Mountain, and also the strongest. Nearly every disciple on the Cyanwood succession list had entered its ranks. Zhang Furong, Bai Yuxiao, and many others had renounced their original divisions to join the Asura division. Its members enjoyed privileges personally ordered by the headmaster of Cyanwood Mountain. It was even said that this order had been approved by the ancestor-level figure, by Li Xuankong. And the reason for all of this power, all of this prestige, all of this reverence, came down to one person, the founder of the Asura division, Chu Feng. In cultivation stories, organizations often rise through ancient inheritance, hidden resources, or the protection of old monsters. But the Asura division rises through something more volatile: personal legend. Its authority is not built on long history. It is built on Chu Feng's survival, victories, and the terror his name now inspires. Because of that, every disciple dreamed of joining the Asura division. Yet the path was no longer simple. Aside from true elites among the core disciples, most people had no hope of entering. But as Zhao Shui looked more carefully, confusion crossed her face.
Strange. Did they not say the Asura division created by Chu Feng was filled with the elites of Cyanwood Mountain's core disciples? Look at those two. Their cultivations are so weak. How did they obtain the mark of the Asura division? And those powerful members beside them, why are they so respectful toward those two? What exactly is going on?
Li Qing and Ma Hu also stared at the leading man and woman among the Asura division members, their brows tightening with the same confusion.
That is true. With their cultivations, they should not be able to enter the Asura division at all.
Right, how did that happen?
Just then, a voice sounded from behind them.
Junior brothers and junior sister, you must be new here, right?
The three turned around, and their expressions changed at once.
Senior sister Jiang.
Around them, the crowd also became respectful, because the woman standing there was no ordinary disciple. She was Jiang Furong, one of the strongest disciples in Cyanwood Mountain, ranked second on the Cyanwood succession list. The first, naturally, was Chu Feng. Even though Ma Hu, Zhao Shui, and Li Qing were already strong among the newcomers, they could not hide their excitement before Jiang Furong. Her status was high, and her strength was even higher. She had already reached the half-martial emperor realm. Among the disciples of Cyanwood Mountain, she stood second only to Chu Feng. Li Qing quickly steadied himself and asked the question that had been burning in all three of their hearts.
Senior sister Jiang, we are indeed new. We all wish to join the Asura division. But we heard that one must pass an examination to enter, and that the examination is extremely difficult. Then why were that senior brother and senior sister able to become members of the Asura division, even though their cultivations are so weak?
Jiang Furong's gaze softened. The answer was not a matter of cultivation level. It was a matter of loyalty written in hardship.
That is a long story. It begins on the day Chu Feng created the Asura division. Back then, Chu Feng was also a new disciple of Cyanwood Mountain. Soon after entering the mountain, he made countless enemies. Many people were envious of his talent. Some even wanted to kill him. Afterward, several of the strongest divisions in Cyanwood Mountain joined hands to attack the Asura division, which had only just been created.
Her words fell like cold rain, and the three newcomers listened in silence.
At that time, the Asura division was like a sheet of loose sand. Facing those invaders, countless members fled. But in that moment of crisis, there were still people willing to stay beside Chu Feng and endure the danger with him. Even when Chu Feng tried to force them away, they refused to leave. So those original members of the Asura division may have weak cultivation, but they are worthy of our respect.
This is the hidden law of the martial world. Power decides who can stand tall, but loyalty decides who deserves to stand close. Fang Tuohai and Wang Wei did not earn their position through realm alone. They earned it by choosing danger when everyone else chose distance. Only then did Li Qing, Zhao Shui, and Ma Hu understand. When they looked again at the man and woman walking at the front of the Asura division, their confusion had vanished. In its place was reverence.
Senior sister Jiang, may I know the names of that senior brother and senior sister?
The man is named Fang Chuohai. The woman is named Wang Guai. They were true original members of the Asura division. It is said that they had been there since the very day it was created.
They were actually that amazing.
From that moment on, Li Qing and the others looked at Fang Tuohai and Wang Wei with even greater respect. Alongside that respect came envy. Deep, unavoidable envy. They envied those who had once fought beside Chu Feng before he became powerful. Feng Tuohai and Wang Wei might not possess frightening cultivation, but in today's Cyanwood Mountain, no one dared to offend them lightly. Because when Chu Feng was still weak, when the Asura division was still fragile, when enemies pressed down like mountains, they had chosen to stand beside him. That choice is what makes their status impossible to copy. Anyone can admire a rising hero after the world has already recognized him. But only a few can recognize the dragon while he is still wounded, isolated, and surrounded by enemies. Li Qing and the others had not been there in those days, but they could imagine the suffering those original members had endured alongside Chu Feng. They could imagine the pressure, the ridicule, the danger, and the loneliness of standing with someone everyone else wanted to crush. But now, looking at everything those people possessed, Li Qing and the others knew one thing clearly. It had all been worth it. This chapter is quiet, but its meaning is heavy. It reminds us that Chu Feng's legend is not built only from battles and breakthroughs. It is also built from the people who believed in him before the world did. In the past, Feng Tuohai, Wang Wei, and the other original members endured misfortune together with Chu Feng. And now, because of Chu Feng, they were finally sharing in fortune. They had enjoyed both fortune and misfortune together. And for that reason, every privilege they held, every respectful gaze they received, and every place they occupied beside the Asura division's banner was deserved. In a world where most people chase power after it blooms, they were among the rare few who guarded the seed before it became a storm.